share my screen and we'll start with the pranami mantras. Okay. Om Jnanam Timrandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilatam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam साधवैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सागनललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्य नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी विचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य शतारिणी। Okay, so thanks again for joining our regular classes, and we are doing chapter 9, which is titled "The Most Confidential Knowledge." And before we go further, I just want to mention that we'll discuss Bhagavad Gita for, let's say, 40-45 minutes, and then I'll discuss one of the pastimes of Lord Krishna, which actually happened in Braja, right? So that way, we through Bhagavad Gita, we understand what Lord Krishna spoke and how he wants us to lead our lives, right? And this is most of our, like, all the philosophy part is there in this Bhagavad Gita. And the katha part, katha means relishing the nectarian pastimes, is covered with when we discuss the pastimes of Lord Krishna, right? As I mentioned, all the pastimes of Lord Krishna are there in book called Krishna book. There are 90 pastimes, and all of those pastimes happened. Actually, the Vrindavan pastime happened in Braja, like the pastimes when Krishna was appeared and till the time he was in Vrindavan, like let's say age of 11, first 11 years he was in Braja. After that, he moved to Mathura, we all know, and then Dwarka. So we'll discuss the childhood pastimes of Lord Krishna, which happened in the Braja. Those are the most nectarian pastimes, are most unique. Like even in spiritual world, those pastimes do not happen. It's only in the Bhaume Vrindavan, the land of Vrindavan, which we had in the earth, those pastimes takes place. So they are very, very special. And all the great Devi Devtas like demigods, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, personally come and witness and those pastimes. So those are not ordinary. Okay, so let's start. So last class we covered first three verses of chapter 9, where we discussed that this confidential knowledge, who is the right recipient or what is the criteria, because this knowledge cannot be spoken to anyone and everyone, even though this is a universal knowledge, and but there are certain criteria, and the criteria is Krishna very clearly says that someone who is never envious of Lord Krishna and who has faith, complete faith. Faith in what? Faith in the scriptures. Right? Yes, whatever is being told, whatever is being spoken in the scriptures, and is in fact 100%. There is not an iota of doubt about what's being mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Puran, and all other Vedic scriptures. Faith in scriptures and then faith in the devotional service. Those are the criterias which he says is required for someone to be a recipient of this knowledge, the most confidential knowledge. And then He also mentioned that this is the king of knowledge, Raj Vidya, Raj Guhyam, most secret of all secrets, right? It's the purest knowledge. And because it gives direct perception of self by realization, it is perfect and it will never get destroyed. It is everlasting, eternal, and also it is performed very joyfully. Okay, this is, but he says those who are not faithful in devotional service, they cannot attain Lord Krishna. They cannot attain me. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. So, unfortunately, those who have no faith, not faithful, there is no way they can understand this knowledge, or and then their destiny is that they have to return to the path of birth and death in this material world. So they remain in this material world and keep taking different bodies based on their karmas and keep revolving in the cycle of birth and death and keep revolving in 8.4 million species of life forms. Okay. So for them, clearly, Lord Krishna says there is no other way. However, in the purport, Prabhupada says, like, if these people get the mercy, get the mercy of a Vaishnava devotee, then there is hope that yes, they also can become from not faithful to faithful. Okay, so we'll continue further. Who all joined? Okay. So now in text 4, he says, by me in my unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. It may sound little confusing or not very clear, but what here Krishna is saying that in his unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded. So this is he's talking about his energy, right? The entire universe is pervaded because everything is one of his energy, and we don't see it's an unmanifested form of Lord Krishna. Sometimes it's known as what you call in Hindi it's called I forgot the exact word, impersonal form, or it's a Brahman form. Like, so the entire universe, like the sun, air, the sky, we are talking about the material universe and even the spiritual universe. Everything is pervaded. This entire universe is pervaded in that form. Everything is Lord Krishna's energy, right? All beings are in me. So everything, all beings are in me. When Lord will discuss in chapter 10, when Lord Krishna showed his universal form to Arjun on the battlefield, Arjun could see everything inside Lord Krishna. All the rivers, all the mountains, all the planets, everything is inside Lord Krishna, he showed. And same thing when Lord Krishna showed when he was a baby, like maybe 2, 3 years old, and he was performing pastime when he ate mitti, like the clay from, and then Mother Yashoda asked him to open his mouth. Again, he showed that entire Brahmand, all universes, everything, all the planets, river, all the Devi Devtas, everything was inside in his mouth, a small mouth like a big. And Krishna, Yashoda Maya could see that herself also in her mouth. So that's what it is, that all beings are in me. Everything is in this. But I am not in one of them. I am not in them. Like he's completely aloof. Like he's not touched by material energy or this cosmic manifestation, even though everything is pervading. And he says, I think in one of the previous chapter, the way to understand is like we have seen a pearl necklace, right? Now we only see the pearls, but we don't see the thread which is binding that those pearls together in the necklace. So that thread is Lord Krishna, and this pearls is all the planets and all the living entities. So what is binding them together is Krishna, but we don't see that. Okay, that is how we can understand. And further we go down, and he says, and yet everything that is created does not rest in me. It's continuation of the previous verse, that everything, all beings are in me, but I am not in one of them. And yet, everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is very the source of creation. So he's saying, although everything rests upon me and I am everywhere, I am also the maintainer of all the living entities, not just humans, all the living entities. There are infinite number of living entities in this universe, right? So he is the maintainer of everyone. And see his mystic opulence. He knows exactly what's going on with each one of the living entities. None of the living entities goes hungry, right? He makes sure everyone gets the food. Even a elephant who eats tons of food, Lord Krishna makes sure he gets his food, right? So everyone, he is, because he's the maintainer, right? Sometimes we think we are the doers, or we are the ones like, what will happen to my family if something happens to me? All this. No, we have to see, understand that this is Lord Krishna who is maintaining our families, not us. We are just a medium through which things are happening, but we are not the doer of anything in this world. Sometimes people say, okay, I made this, I created this company, I made this big temple. No, it's not. The ability which is given to us is coming through Lord Krishna. So we are simply what you call a medium, um, in the hands of Lord Krishna. Whatever he wants us to do, we are doing. So he's the maintainer. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, but he says I am not a part of this manifestation, meaning he's not like, we should not consider that he's one of us. He does not even touch the material energy. So he's aloof. All these material worlds are just working perfectly. Sun is rising every day in the morning and setting, moon is rising, coming, earth is revolving perfectly on its orbit. Everything is happening just by his energies, right? Sometimes we think, how can this whole universe is functioning so well? Like there has never been a problem. Like earth is moving perfectly. Even all other planets are moving in their orbit perfectly, right? So this is all happening because of Lord Krishna. This is all his energies. For myself is the very source. And he say that I am the source of creation. So he's the source of all the creations. He's the basically the seed-giving father of every living entity, and also the source of creation. Krishna is the primary creator, and then he gives the intelligence to Lord Brahma to actually do a creation. So Lord Brahma is the secondary creator. He gets all the knowledge from Lord Krishna within his heart. So Krishna is now telling about, these are all what you call the confidential knowledge, mystic opulence about it. Then he further goes, understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in sky, all created beings rest in me, right? And I say, at the end of millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, I create them again. So this he's talking about uh, the annihilation, which is annihilation and then appearance of this material universe, because this material creation is temporary, so it keeps getting annihilated. जिसको हम बोलते हैं प्रलय आ जाती है, right? We all of you, and we understand that when Lord Shiva did his Tandav, then pralay happens. Like Lord Shiva is the demigod who is tasked to take care of the pralay part, or the destruction, or the annihilation. So at the end of the millennium, all material manifestation, where does it go actually? Because we are all eternal, right? We meaning at our soul. The body is material, like it will nashwar hai, but we are eternal. So at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning, I create them again. So this process is happening from time immemorial, that creation, maintenance, and annihilation. These are the three processes which are being happening in this material manifestation. But they are completely dependent on the will of the Supreme Lord. Okay. So we discussed in, I think, previously also, that in one day of Brahma, which is 12 hours, all the creation keeps going on. Okay. And when the 12 hours of his night comes, then all the annihilation happens, partial annihilation. Only the top three planetary system remains. All everything else, which are nine planetary system, including our planet system Earth, where we have, all get submerged in the water. Okay, so this cycle keeps going every like eternally. And when the end of the millennium, and even the Brahma's time is also done, because Brahma is also not eternal. He's also a Jiva Tattva. He's also but it's his lifespan is lot bigger than what we have. So when 100 years of Brahma comes, everything, even Brahma's planet on all planets goes, everything goes inside the body of Mahavishnu, who is the expansion of Lord Krishna. And 1 day of Brahma, 12 hours of Brahma is this much, 4.3 billion earthly years. Okay, this is the lifespan. This is the what you call the time span of 12 hours of Brahma's planet. So 4.3 million years keeps going on. They cycle this, and in terms of yugas, like one cycle of Chatur Yuga is 4.3 million years, like Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali Yuga. This is 4.3 million years, and 1,000 cycles of like that is 1 day of Brahma. Okay, so 1,000 Chatur Yugas, after 1,000 Chatur Yugas, in the day of Brahma, annihilation happens. And then again, uh, for 4.3 billion years, it's all submerged in water. And then the creation again happens when the Brahma's day comes. So this cycle is going. Okay. And when Brahma's 100 years done, which is a big number, like I think it's it goes in the trillions of years, then the complete annihilation happens. And that is going on and on. So this is all in the material creation, like this go, not in spiritual world. Everything is eternal, no annihilation, nothing happens there. Nobody dies, nobody take birth, everything is eternal. It's only here birth, death keep happening, and we keep changing the bodies. And that is that is the actual problem which we are trying to solve. And Lord Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita just for us to understand that the cycle of birth and death is something which is forced upon us because we are in this material nature. But our true identity is that everyone wants to live eternally. Like nobody wants to die, because that is the nature of soul. But that can only be happen when the soul reaches the super soul in the spiritual world. Okay, next goal. The whole cosmic order is under me, under my will. It is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated. So everything we understand, it's Lord Krishna's order, and this whole process of annihilation, creation, destruction, like it's happening again and again, and under the will of the Lord. Right? This is not eternal. So yeah. So then he says, all this work cannot bind me, O Dhananjay. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. So very clearly he says, I am neutral, meaning he does not take part in any of these material activities. Also, this work cannot bind him to the material world. Like sometimes people think that Supreme Personality of Godhead, like how come he's involved in this thing, but not. So he's saying, I'm neutral, I'm detached from all these material activities, because he's always engaged in the spiritual world. He never gets engaged in the material world. Even when he comes personally and appears here, he's aloof because he comes in his own spiritual form. So he is aloof from material activities. See here, Prabhupada says, Brahma Samhita, he's always involved in his eternal, blissful spiritual activities, but he has nothing to do with these material activities. Material activities which we see are carried out by his different potencies. Like he does not take part, his different potencies, energies, which automatically takes care. The Lord is always neutral in the material activities of the created world. Okay. And then example, Prabhupada gives an example of a high court judge that just by his order, things are happening. Like he does not have to execute a prisoner. If he orders, just by his will, someone is being hanged, someone is going to a prison, but he is not personally taking the person and hanging him, or he is not putting and going into the jail, right? He just comes to the court, gives his judgment, and that's it. By his order, things are moving. The same is the case with Lord Krishna. He does not have to come here even to kill anyone, or to punish anyone, or everything is just happening by his orders. And because there are millions of universes, and you imagine like how perfect the arrangement is, everything is just working perfectly in all those millions of universes. It's so, what you call, astonishing. Everything is just happening by his energy. And yeah, so every universe, uh, there are three prime, what you call, entities, or where Krishna expands: Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. We say, right, three Murti. So every universe have this: Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Vishnu. And these are three prime who are responsible for creation, maintenance, and annihilation. And then there are further, as I mentioned, there are 33 crore Devi Devtas, and out of that, there are many who are responsible for running the affairs. Like some is responsible for water, air, sun god, moon god, everyone, like even for earth, there is a demigod or Devi Devta who are Jeev Tattvas, but they have extraordinary powers, and they're authorized on the behalf of Lord Krishna to run the affairs of this universe. Okay. Because that's a position, that's not an eternal thing. Once their time span expires, they also have to come back on this earth planet and take birth here. So it's not a permanent position which they have, but their lifespan is also bigger compared to us. See here, the living entities take their different forms in the various species of life according to their past deeds. Okay. And the Lord does not interfere with them. Lord Krishna has nothing to do with our karma. Sometimes people think everything is happening on the will of the Lord. That's true. But it's not that Lord Krishna is responsible for our bad karmas. That is in our hand. Right? We cannot blame Lord Krishna that this thing is happening to us, or why why bad things are happening to us. This is because of our past karmas. And whatever we do in this life will decide our future, right? Future thing. So if we keep doing bad things, keep then definitely our future will not be bright. We have to suffer all those reactions later, like in the next life. In the next life, you never know when, right? See. Okay, so question is, how many years have passed out of 4.3 billion years? Okay, so half of the thing is past, meaning if we divide by 4.3, no, let me think, 4.3 billion years is one day of Brahma, which is 12 hours. And we need to do a calculation. Uh, I'll let you know, Himanji. You need to do a little calculation because roughly half is done, meaning 2.15 billion years have passed already. Because in one day of Brahma, 14 Manus come, right? You may have heard this Manu. So Manus are the, what you call, the prime uh, responsible for entire universe. So 14 Manus comes, and today we are in the seventh Manu, in the time, in the reign of seventh Manu. His name is Vevaswan. So seventh Manu means we are right in the middle. Seven more Manus have to come, and that too it's so precise. Lord Krishna appears in this cycle of seventh Manu in the 28th Chaturyuga cycle, because each Manu has 72 Chaturyuga cycles, like Kali Yuga, Treta, Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, Kali Yuga, like that. This is one cycle, which is 4.3 million years. So one Manu is responsible for 72 such cycles. Okay. And after that, next Manu comes. So like that, cycle keeps going on. So we are in the seventh Manu, reign of the seventh Manu. His name is Vivasvat Manu, and we are in the 28th cycle of Chatur. Okay, still you can say 72 minus 28. That many cycles needs to go for this Manu, and Lord Krishna appears in the 28th cycle of seventh Manu in one day of Brahma in Dwapar Yuga, where he appears personally as Swam Bhagwan. In all other cycles, uh, he does not come as Swam Bhagwan. He sends he sends incarnation of Lord Krishna. So after 4.32 billion years, roughly, I would say 2.15 billion years, half time has elapsed and half more remaining before we get the full pralay. Like everything will get submerged. Now there is another Sandhya also when there is a change in the yugas, like from after Kali Yuga is done, then there would be Satyuga. Satyuga will start, new Yuga start. So for let's say thousands of years, 25, 30,000 years, it's called the Sandhya time when the transition is happening. That time also there will be partial destruction. So it says that at the end of Kali Yuga, Kalki will come and he will kill all the miscreants. And then uh, whoever remains will start the new Yuga, like the next Satyuga will come. 29th cycle of this Manu, 29th Chaturyuga. Yeah, this keeps going on and on. Okay, this material nature uh, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Same point he's saying, but he's saying that this is my energy, one of my energies. He has a lot of many other energies, three primarily: material, spiritual, and then marginal energy. Okay, material energy we understand, anything which is like Jada Shakti, meaning doesn't have consciousness, right? That like this table, this is material, or keyboard, anything which does not have consciousness, which is material. Spiritual is which has consciousness, spiritual, fully spiritual, which is in the spiritual world, the spiritual energy, and then marginal energy is um, the living entities, because we are neither fully material, we are neither spiritual fully, correct? Because we had this material body, ours is a different category altogether. All the jivas, living entities, they are called as marginal energies, tathasth shakti, meaning they are spiritual, but they are encased in the material body. So we are influenced by both material energy as well as spiritual energy. So we are neither here, neither there. We are tathast, right? We keep influencing, and a goal is to become fully spiritual. So he's talking about here material energy nature, which is one of his energies, that it is working under his direction. All energies are working under his direction, actually. And then he talks about that fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. So those who are foolish people, they make fun of him, they deride him when he comes in human form, because they don't know his transcendental nature, right? And we know already that when Lord Krishna was present here 5,200 years back, only very few handful of devotees were knowing about his true nature. There are many more who are envious of him and who are uh, like calling him with different names, right? He killed so many demons just like that. Every day he used to just kill two, three demons like that. And yeah, so foolish people, even today, foolish people don't recognize Lord Krishna as the Supreme Lord and deride him. And what kind of Lord is he? Because you will never see Lord Krishna uh, being what you call having any weapons. You will only see Lord Krishna with flute, right? You will never come across a picture where Lord Krishna is, because that's his true nature. He doesn't, he just comes here for giving enjoyment to his devotees. That's his main purpose, and also enjoying along with them. And he does not have to appear to kill anyone. That can be done by his energies. He just comes here to perform his Leela pastimes, which we will discuss, right? That's all. But foolish people always deride him when he is in the descent in the human form. Then he goes, those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. So, okay, so he's talking about these foolish people who are always bewildered and attracted by demoniac atheistic views. Anyone who you see say, I am atheist, or I do not believe in the God, all of them falls in this category, right? So Krishna is saying in that deluded condition, deluded means bewildered. Their hopes for liberation, fruit, their activity, everything what they are doing for progressing, it's all defeated. The culture of knowledge, all everything defeated for these people who are falling in this category. Right? If you read here, even in terms of devotees, there are many, Prabhupada says, there are many devotees who assume themselves to be in Krishna consciousness and devotion service, but at heart do not accept Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna as the absolute. So no matter what you do, if you don't accept Lord Krishna as supreme, then all, for them the fruit of devotion service, going back to Godhead, will never be tasted. Similarly, those who are engaged in fruitive, pious activities and who are ultimately hoping to be liberated from this material entanglement will never be successful either, because they deride the Supreme Personality of God Krishna. Okay, in other words, persons who mock Krishna are to be understood to be demonic or atheistic. So it is great offense to consider Krishna as an ordinary man. Those who do so are certainly deluded because they cannot understand his true nature. Anyway, so these are all miscreants or demonic mentality people, atheistic people. For them, um, they keep getting punished by the nature, unfortunately, again and again. And they just keep rotting in this material world for so many years. They keep going to the hellish planets and getting the results of their misdeeds. So for the hopes for any liberation or hopes for anything, what do you call, even in the material world, the hopes for getting a good life, all of those are defeated. And then he further says, "O son of Prita, those who are not deluded, these are the ones who are devotees, Krishna conscious, who at least understand that Lord Krishna is the supreme and accepts him as Bhagwan. The great souls are under the protection of the divine nature." So you see, because just by accepting Krishna as the supreme Bhagwan, then they comes under the protection of the divine nature, because nature itself is one of the energies of the Lord, Mother Nature, right? So they are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as a supreme personality of God, original and inexhaustible. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So these are the activities of the devotees, chanting his glories, endeavoring with great determination, and bowing down. When we go to the temple, we bow down before him, worship him. These great souls always worship me with devotion. Okay. So this is the what Lord Krishna, uh, what do you call, recommends, Satatam Kirtayanto Ma, meaning always chanting my glories. And this is one of the famous verses of the Yatantas Chadridha Vritas Namasyantas Chamam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upasate. And bowing down before me, endeavoring with great determination, worship me. Because by doing this, Actually, he is not in need of any of this. There are millions and millions of Lakshmi Jis who are waiting to serve. This is he's telling this just for our benefit, so that by doing this, our anarthas or unwanted things gets eliminated from our heart. Unwanted things like lust, anger, greed, pride, all these things, enviousness gets removed, and we become pure and become eligible to go back to the spiritual world. And that can only happen through the medium of devotional service. No other process will work actually. And then further he says, others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. Okay. So here he was telling about the Gyan path, meaning there is another path, Gyan Marg. Like there are some personalities or people who want to worship Krishna differently. Previously, he talks about the Bhakti Marg, the path of devotion service, but there are some persons who who basically worship Krishna indirectly in different ways. Okay. So, and some are attracted to his even the universal form. So there are many like sometimes they themselves concoct some form of the Lord. Sometimes they worship what you call impersonal form of the Lord. Right? Many we may come across many who deny the personal form of the Lord. Right? They say impersonal form is the ultimate. We want to merge with that impersonal form. Some light, they worship some light, some direction, whatever. Indirectly, they are worshipping Lord, but doing it in a wrong way. Like here, there are three which are mentioned. Worshipping himself as one with the Supreme Lord. These are the Ekat. It's mentioned here. Ekatvena. Ekatvena are the people who believes in the oneness. Like they want to become one with the Lord and lose their individuality. But that doesn't happen. But that's their motive. So these are all Mayavad people who wants to become one with the Lord. Then Prathatvena. Prathatvena is the second category. They themselves concoct some form of the Lord within their mind and start worshipping them. Like they don't want to worship Lord Krishna is Lord Krishna, and they just want to worship some other form, any form they make, like, and then start worshipping. And then third category is last one is this Vishwato Mukham, universal form, who are attracted with this universal form and worship that one. So all these people indirectly worshipping Krishna only, but this is not the recommended as per Lord Krishna. Like, okay. And then he says, but it is I who am the ritual, I am the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offerings. Sometimes this is talking about a yajna, right? So Vedic sacrifice, which is also known as Jyotistama, is also Krishna. So he is the ritual, he is the sacrifice, the offering which we do to the ancestors, Pindadan. He's this is Krishna only. Healing herb, transcendental chant, Om. The word Om refers to Krishna only. Every Vedic word, sorry, every Vedic mantra starts with the Om. Om Shanti, right? Om. So, and also the butter, the ghee, and the fire and the offering in the sacrifice is Krishna only. So even those who, because there are few who believes in only doing yajnas, right? Yajnas. That was the medium of achieving self-realization in the age of Treta Yuga, Lord Ram's age, doing elaborate yajnas, but not for Kali Yuga because first of all we don't have those qualified brahmanas who are so pure, and we don't have ingredients also. So this method was method being done in the Treta Yuga. Then further he goes on that I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, the grandsire, I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, Sam, and Yajur Vedas. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, abode, refuge, and most dear friend. I am the creation and annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and eternal seed. Right? This is important. Eternal seed, Bijam. He is the seed giving uh, father for everyone. And he is basis of everything. And then he says, further, I give heat, I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality, and I am also the death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Everything is in me, like he clearly mentions. Now, you will not find any of this kind of statements in any other scriptures by any other personality. Nobody can, neither Lord Shiv, nor Brahma, nor Durga Maya. Nobody will claim like this. It's only here in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says everything is him only, and he's the supreme. Because he's not talking about the most confidential knowledge to Arjun. And sometimes when people hear all these things, those who are envious of Krishna, they don't believe Krishna is God, they get what you call more, their enmity towards Krishna increases more. And then they sometimes tell like why you are keeping Lord Krishna above from everyone else, like like say someone who is a devout follower or devout devotee of some other god, some other demigod, he may get offended by when we discuss all these things. But this is not we discussing this, Krishna himself telling this to Arjun. So that's why he gives this criteria that someone who is not envious is the recipient of the others. They should not, like, for them, let them do whatever they are doing. Maybe down the line they come by the mercy of some Vaishnava and get this knowledge. Okay. So further he talks about now the study of Vedas and all. But we'll just stop here, and then now we'll discuss, as I mentioned, the one of the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Any questions for this part? I see Dipti ji raising hand.
Yes, Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Beautifully explained the way you explained it today. I've, I've read it, but today I was able to better understand it. One question I have is that I've been chanting japa for such a long time that I understand this now, and I can feel that energy. But when I say that to others who are not into Krishna consciousness, but they have other form of, you know, form that they believe in Krishna, as you said, Mayavad people,
Mm-hmm.
uh, how do I sort of course, I'm not a learned person. I don't have that capacity. I'm just learning and I'm trying
Yeah.
to make myself first understand before I can make others understand. How do I sort of, when I read this, they say that they get the feeling of arrogance from this literature. How
Mm.
do I explain that it's not arrogance, it is the truth? But then, if you
Mm.
can help me get a better
Yeah.
understanding of that.
So I would say um, better not to convince them at this stage, because they will not, because Krishna clearly talks in the beginning that uh, if someone is envious of him, they will think on those lines only, that here there is arrogance, or why Lord Krishna is above everyone else and all that thing. So I would say it's very difficult to convince these kind of people, because Krishna himself says that uh, not to engage with them. In fact, it may happen that if we are not fully established in Krishna consciousness, we may get distracted on our path of devotional service. So the only way, let's say, if we want to help those people, let's say one of our close friends or family members are having that kind of views or that kind of thought, We can only give them prasad, meaning prepare something, offer it to Lord Krishna, and have them. That is the only way we can help them, because what we are doing is we are creating agyat sukriti for them, so that they can take up the devotional service in the future, or invite them to festivals like Jagannath Rath Yatra, because when they see the form of the Lord, they again get that agyat sukriti, unknowing piety, to understand this, and hopefully we can pray for them, and then in future they get this knowledge, right? So, because unless we are not in that position, first of all, there won't be, they won't, at this stage they won't be able to appreciate what you say, no matter whatever you, so they, because their mind is made up and they are following one path, like if they are Mayavads, or if they are other, so it's very difficult to convince them, or, and then there is no point of argument, because we are not here trying to prove anything. So that's why Krishna says the recipient of this knowledge is someone who is non-envious and have faith. If these two things are missing, they are not the correct recipient of Bhagavad Gita knowledge. That's what I would say. I hope that satisfy or answer your question, Madhani. Dipti ji?
Yes, Prabhu, it
Yes?
does. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now we'll discuss one of the pastimes. So I'll just stop sharing my screen. Oh, we have more. Oh, welcome Sarv Kanta Mataji also here. Thanks for joining. So, okay, so I will share one pastime. This is Leela, and I'm just checking if everyone understand Hindi. If I say in Hindi, will that be okay? Or maybe I'll just,
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
yes.
Yes, yes,
Madhav ji, you understand Hindi?
yes, प्रभु हमको या पूरी तरह समझ में आता है.
पूरी तरह आता है, बहुत बढ़िया. और अपर्णा जी?
Yeah, I can understand.
Okay. So I will say pastime in Hindi. Reason being, all these pastimes, जो भगवान की लीला है, ये जब हम वृंदावन या ब्रज में जाते हैं, वहाँ हिंदी में ही एक्सप्लेन होता है, और हिंदी में ही जो उसका एसेंस है, क्योंकि कुछ वर्ड्स हैं जो इंग्लिश में है ही नहीं, जो हिंदी में है वो यू कैनॉट एक्सप्लेन दोज वर्ड्स इन इंग्लिश एसेंस. ठीक है, तो आई विल जस्ट एक्सप्लेन. सो हम सब ने गोवर्धन लीला के बारे में सब सुना है, राइट? कि भगवान जब 7 वर्ष की उम्र के थे, तो उन्होंने गोवर्धन लीला किया था ब्रज में. सबने जो गए हैं देखा भी होगा, गोवर्धन विशाल है. और गोवर्धन जो है, एक यूनिक तत्व है. गोवर्धन एक तरह से भगवान कृष्ण भी है, कृष्ण तत्व है, बट एक भक्त की फॉर्म में, डिवोटी की फॉर्म में, ही इज इन द फॉर्म ऑफ डिवोटी, डिवोटी भी है. तो आफ्टर गोवर्धन लीला फिनिशेस 7 days, वी नो कि भगवान ने गोवर्धन को अपने छोटी सी, सबसे जो छोटी उंगली है उस पर उठाया था. और नॉट जस्ट उंगली, उंगली के ऊपर जो एक जो छोटा सा नाखून है उसके ऊपर ही उठा लिया था. भगवान को ज्यादा मेहनत नहीं करनी पड़ी थी. ठीक है, कृष्णा को. तो आफ्टर 7 days हो गए थे, 7 दिन तक इंद्र ने बहुत बारिश किया, सब पूरा भर दिया था, और ही वॉज ट्राइंग टू टेस्ट. एंड देन उसके बाद इंद्र को पता लग गया था कि ये जो छोटा बालक है, जिसको वो ऐसे ही समझ रहा था, ये कोई साधारण बालक नहीं है. और कुछ समझ में आ गया था कि खुद स्वयं भगवान त्रिलोकीनाथ कृष्ण है. तो उसके बाद इंद्र सुरभि, मदर सुरभि जो काव है, उनके साथ आते हैं और कृष्ण से क्षमा याचना करते हैं. ठीक है, तो वो हो गया था 9th और 10th डे को. 7 days तो बारिश ही होता रहा. सो ये लीला जो हुई थी, एग्जैक्टली जैसे दिवाली होती है उसके अगले दिन, दिवाली अमावस्या को होती है, जो प्रथम दिन होता है, फर्स्ट डे ऑफ, जब मून राइज होता है, उस दिन भगवान ने गोवर्धन को उठाया था. और उससे 7 days तक हो गया, अष्टमी तक, नौमी दशमी. नौमी और दशमी में से आई थिंक नौमी को, दशमी को अंदर भगवान से क्षमा याचना करने आते हैं, और भगवान उनको फिर क्षमा भी कर देते हैं. उस दिन भगवान का नाम इंद्र लोग देते हैं गोविंद, जो हमने देखा है गोविंद. तो जब एकादशी आती है, जैसे 11th डे, जैसे आज भी एकादशी है, उस दिन का मैं जो अब कथा है वो बता रहा हूँ. उस दिन भगवान कृष्ण के जो बाबा हैं, नंद बाबा, तो वो एकादशी व्रत करते हैं पूरी रात, पूरे दिन, लाइक पूरा, उस टाइम पे भी सब लोग एकादशी व्रत करते थे, पूरा कल्चर था। एंड द्वादशी व्रत जब हम ब्रेक करते हैं अपना फास्ट, उससे पहले वो एक यमुना स्नान के लिए जाते हैं। ठीक है। बट वो सूर्योदय पहले से ही यमुना में स्नान करने जाते हैं, बट वो थोड़ा जल्दी चले जाते हैं। जैसे सूर्योदय लगभग 4 बजे होता है, वो 2-3 बजे, 2 बजे चले जाते हैं एक जगह यमुना, जिसको आज नंद घाट बोलते हैं। अब होता क्या है कि वो समय जो था ना, थोड़ा इनऑस्पिशियस समय था, वो अच्छा समय नहीं था यमुना में जाने का। तो जो नंद महाराज जब जाते हैं यमुना में स्नान करने, अकेले जाते हैं और थोड़े से अपने साथ ले जाते हैं ग्वालों को जो उनके होते हैं। तो जैसे ही यमुना में जाते हैं तो उनको वहां पे जो वरुण देव हैं, जो कि पूरे समुद्र के देवता हैं, उनके जो पार्षद हैं, वो पकड़ लेते हैं नंद बाबा को। बिकॉज वो गलत टाइम पे यमुना में स्नान ले रहे थे, और उनको नहीं पता पार्षदों को कि ये भगवान के ही पिता हैं, जो हैं। तो उनको पकड़ लेते हैं नंद महाराज को, और उनको ले जाते हैं वरुण देव के पास। और तब तक क्योंकि वो बाहर नहीं आते हैं, तो पूरा हल्ला मच जाता है, लाइक सब लोग परेशान हो जाते हैं कि नंद बाबा को क्या हुआ, कि वो डूब गए, क्या हुआ। तो उनके जो साथ में आए थे वो वृंदावन, नहीं, नंदगांव जाते हैं और बोलते हैं कि भाई नंद बाबा तो पानी में चले गए और वो वापस नहीं आए। क्योंकि किसी को नहीं पता अब अंदर क्या हो रहा है, तो वरुण देव के ले जाते हैं और उनको वरुण देव के सामने पेश कर देते हैं कि ये ऑफेंडर है, ये गलत टाइम पे यमुना में स्नान कर रहे थे। और तो ये होता है, और वरुण देव जब देखते हैं तो वरुण देव को समझ में आता है कि ये तो जो मेरे भी स्वामी हैं, भगवान श्री कृष्ण त्रिलोकीनाथ, उनके पिता हैं। तो वो बोलते हैं कि इनको कहाँ से तुम ले आए, ये तो मेरे स्वामी के भी फादर हैं, तो ये तो हमारे लिए पूजनीय है। बट वरुण देव समझते हैं कि चलो इसी बहाने मुझे भी भगवान के दर्शन हो जाएंगे, क्योंकि उनको समझ में आता है कि अब भगवान नंद महाराज को छुड़ाने स्वयं भगवान भी आएंगे, तो उसी बहाने मुझे भी दर्शन हो जाएंगे। और नंदगांव में ऐसा चल रहा होता है कि सब जगह शोर मच जाता है, और यशोदा मैया तो बिल्कुल काइंड ऑफ बहुत ही निराश हो जाती हैं, और पूरी अनकॉन्शियस भी हो जाती हैं कि अब नंद बाबा चले गए। तो सब लोग कृष्ण बलराम को ही तरफ देखते हैं, क्योंकि अभी अभी कृष्णा ने पूरे ब्रज को बचाया था इंद्र के प्रकोप से। तो वो देखते हैं कि कृष्ण ही ये कुछ कर सकते हैं, और तो किसी में इतना सामर्थ्य नहीं है। तो कृष्ण की तरफ ही देखते हैं। अब जो सारे ब्रज के जो निवासी हैं, वो कृष्ण को, उनका भाव ऐसा नहीं है कि वो कृष्ण भगवान है। वो कृष्ण को समझते हैं कि ये हमारा लाला है, बट ये एक्स्ट्रॉर्डनरी है, कुछ इसमें एक्स्ट्रॉर्डनरी पावर्स दी हुई हैं। बट वो कभी भी, उनका ऐसा कभी भाव नहीं आता है कि ये भगवान है, ना यशोदा मैया का, ना नंद बाबा का। तो वो कभी भी कृष्ण को ऐश्वर्य भाव में नहीं देखते। उनको हमेशा वो वात्सल्य जैसे हैं, या सखा हैं तो वो अपने साख्य भाव में, और माधुर्य में जो गोपीज हैं उसी में ही उनको देखते हैं। बिकॉज ऐश्वर्य भाव जो है, वो जो होता है ना एक प्रेम, जो ट्रू लव, उसको कवर कर देता है ऐश्वर्य भाव। जैसे ही ऐश्वर्य भाव आएगा, तो जो वो साख्य भाव है और माधुर्य भाव है, वो सारा ढक जाएगा ऐश्वर्य भाव से। तो और कृष्णा भी ये नहीं चाहते हैं कि वो जो एंजॉय करते हैं रेलिशमेंट उस पर्टिकुलर रस में, माधुर्य में, वात्सल्य में, वो ऐश्वर्य भाव से ढके। तो इसलिए ब्रज में आप जाएंगे, वहां पे ब्रजवासियों का जो भाव रहता है वो अलग है। दैट्स वाई हम बोलते हैं ब्रज की जो भक्ति है ना, वो सारी जगहों से अलग है, क्योंकि बाकी सब जगह जो है भक्ति ऐश्वर्य भाव में होती है। एक द्वारका में जाएंगे, ऐश्वर्य भाव, ठीक है, कहीं और भी जाएंगे तो ब्रज के बाहर सब जगह ऐश्वर्य भाव ज्यादा दिखेगा। बट ब्रज में जो है आपको ऐश्वर्य भाव नहीं दिखेगा। वहां पे ब्रज भक्ति में आपको, उनको लगता है ये हमारा है, ये हमारा सखा है, या हमारा लाला है। तो वैसा भाव रहता है, तो वैसा ही था। अ, तो अब कृष्ण जाते हैं यमुना में, और ये जगह जहाँ पे ये लीला हुई है उसको आज बोलते हैं नंद घाट। ये यमुना की साइड पे ही है। मतलब वहां से आप अगर क्रॉस करेंगे तो आप दूसरी साइड पे यमुना के चले जाएंगे, और वहां पे भांडीर वन और वो सब दूसरे वन हैं। तो ये है, और द बैंक ऑफ यमुना है, नंद घाट बोलते हैं, क्योंकि नंद बाबा वहां पे हुए थे। तो वो कृष्णा जाते हैं वहां पे पानी के अंदर, और नीचे जाते हैं, वरुण देव जी उनको रिसीव करते हैं, सीधा दंडवत प्रणाम कर लेते हैं। सीधा कृष्णा आए अभी, सीधा पूरा दंडवत। और कृष्ण और नंद बाबा बड़े आश्चर्यचकित हो जाते हैं कि ये वरुण देव जो है, ये मेरे छोटे से लाला को प्रणाम कर रहे हैं, इतने बड़े। अभी भी नंद बाबा को ऐसा नहीं लगता है कि ये भगवान है। उनको लगता है कि ये जो मेरा बेटा है ये बड़ा एक एक्स्ट्रॉर्डिनरी बेटा है, मे बी इसलिए इसको प्रणाम कर रहे हैं। और फिर उनके बीच में बातचीत होती है, उनकी स्तुति की जाती है बाकायदा कृष्णा की, वरुण देव और उनके जितने पार्षदों के द्वारा। और फाइनली वो नंद बाबा को छोड़ देते हैं। और इसी बहाने वरुण देव उनको बताते हैं कृष्णा को कि क्षमा मांगते हैं पहले तो, कि भाई आपके मेरे अननोइंगली, ज्ञातवश मेरे जो पार्षद लोग हैं ये आपके बाबा को पकड़ लाए हैं। और वो उनसे क्षमा मांगते हैं। और और उनको धन्यवाद देते हैं दर्शन देने के लिए। भगवान के दर्शन बहुत दुर्लभ हैं। लाइक इवन जब भगवान प्रेजेंट थे, सबको दर्शन नहीं हुए थे उनके, भगवान के बहुत ही कम लोगों को हुए थे। लाइक इवन लॉर्ड शिव जी को दर्शन लेने के लिए भी बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ी थी, इतनी आसानी से भगवान के दर्शन नहीं हुए थे। यशोदा मैया ने नहीं आने दिया था शिव जी को, और शिव जी ने नंद गांव के बाहर बैठ कर तपस्या किया। और फिर उसके बाद उनको उस भगवान के जो बाल रूप के दर्शन हुए। तो बहुत दुर्लभ है वो दर्शन, तो इसलिए वरुण देव उनको काफी धन्यवाद देते हैं दर्शन के लिए, और देन वो छोड़ देते हैं। तो अभी नंद बाबा तो छोड़ के आ गए वापिस, अब अपने घर आ जाते हैं नंद बाबा, सब वहां पे खुशियां मनाते हैं, मैं चलो नंद बाबा छूट के आ गए। अब अभी भी ब्रज जो नंद बाबा है और उनके जो यशोदा मैया है, उनके लिए ऐसा कोई भाव नहीं आता कृष्ण के लिए कि ये तो हमारा लल्ला ही है, हमारा बेटा ही है। और ये कोई, बस ये है कि थोड़ा इसमें कोई असाधारण चीज है जिससे कि सभी देवी देवता भी इसको प्रणाम करते हैं। तो मे भी हो सकता है कि ये उनके वहां से आया हो, बट ऐसा कभी नहीं आता कि ये खुद नारायण है या भगवान है। बट जो ब्रज के लोग हैं उनको थोड़ा थोड़ा ऐसा लगने लगता है कि ये सब असाधारण है, और ये हो सकता है ये भगवान ही हो। और और फिर ब्रजवासियों को भगवान एक बहुत आश्चर्यजनक, बहुत अच्छा चीज दिखाते हैं भगवान, क्योंकि वो उनकी शंका को मिटाना चाहते हैं। तो भगवान कृष्ण उनको उसी फॉर्म में गोलोक वृंदावन के दर्शन करा देते हैं, पूरा सारे ब्रजवासियों को। जो उनका गोलोक वृंदावन जो उनका परम धाम है, जहाँ पे वो हमेशा रहते हैं भगवान स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड में। तो ये वृंदावन जो है भौम्य वृंदावन है, और गोलोक वृंदावन जो है स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड में है। तो जो भौम्य वृंदावन है ये उसी का विस्तार है, एक्सपेंशन है गोलोक वृंदावन का। तो भगवान सारे अपने ब्रजवासियों को, सखाओं को, सबको गोलोक वृंदावन के इसी बॉडी में, जो बॉडी उनकी होती है उसमें दर्शन कराते हैं। और उसको कराने के बाद उनको ये विश्वास दिला देते हैं कि जब ये लीला के बाद वो सब, क्योंकि वहां पे दर्शन कराएंगे तो वहां पे वो अपने आप को ही देखेंगे, क्योंकि वो वहाँ भगवान के एटर्नल कंसर्ट है, लाइक परम जो जो सखा भाव में है, वो वहां पे भी लीला चल रही है। बट वहां तो हमेशा ही लीला चलती रहती है। तो जब भगवान यहाँ पे आते हैं लीला करने, तो वहीं के ही जितने उनके एटर्नल एटर्नल लोग हैं, जैसे जितने उनके सखा लोग हैं, मधुमंगल, स्तोक कृष्णा और अर्जुन, ये सारे सखा जो हैं, ये नहीं कि इसी लीला में ही उनके सखा बने हैं, ये हमेशा से ही उनके सखा हैं। तो जब वहां गोलोक में भी जाएंगे तो वही देखेंगे कि अरे यहाँ पे भी हम हैं। तो उनको ऐसे वो विश्वास दिला देते हैं कि ये सब जो है भगवान के परम मित्र हैं, और वो हमेशा उनके साथ ही रहेंगे। और उनको आ, इस लीला के बाद वो सभी परम धाम जाने वाले हैं। तो इस तरह से उनमें संतुष्टि हो जाती है। तो ये एक लीला हुई थी भगवान की नंद घाट पे। तो अभी मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ इसमें नंद घाट यहाँ पे, और वो हमेशा उनके साथ ही रहेंगे। और वन सेकेंड, इस लीला के बाद वो सभी परम, लेट मी सी कि ये गूगल पे दिखता है कि नहीं। तो ये एकादशी के दिन ही हुई थी, आई थॉट कि आज भी एकादशी है। तो ये लीला का वर्णन, और ये कृष्णा बुक में आता है, और श्रीमद् भागवतम में भी इसका वर्णन है, पूरा लीला